I've admired Richard Jones for a very long time. I think he's one of our really great directors. I've seen quite a lot of his work at E&O and at the Royal Opera House, but also his productions in the West End and at the National Theatre. And I think he's one of those directors that have a way of projecting a really powerful individual personality in their work, both intellectually and emotionally. I just love his work. So when I started running the Young Vic, Richard was one of the first directors I asked to come and do a show for us, and he did. Pirandello's 6 characters looking for an author, and then he came back and he did Hobson's Choice. And I wanted him to come back and do a show here for a while, and it took us a little bit of time. We looked at various things, we tried out various ideas, and then somehow we came up with the idea of doing The Good Soul of Szechuan, which is one of my favourite plays. And I was just delighted when he said that it really moved him. I think what he said about it was that he felt it was really strong. It was a really, really strong story, and felt like this was the moment to tell it again. A curious thing has happened with Brecht in this country. Brecht worked very, very hard to make his plays as popular as he could. He wanted them to speak to a very, very wide audience. When they're played in England, in English, because Brecht got to us mostly through the universities and through theatre academics, there's been a kind of classification, that's not quite the right word, the turning of Brecht into a classic, in inverted commas. And the parts tend to be played in a particular style, deriving not so much from Shakespeare, but perhaps more from Chekhov or from Ibsen or from the 19th century. So earlier productions of the play have had really great actors like Peggy Ashcroft or Janet Sussman or Fiona Shaw playing the part. 3 major productions of the play over the last 40, 50 years. But actually the actors who played the parts in the original productions were popular actors. People who came out of the popular theatre, people who could put a number over, people who could have an intimate, slightly joking relationship with the audience. And Jane Horrocks absolutely has that. The title in German is very particular. In German it's called Der gute Mensch von Szechuan, and Mensch in German means simply person, but it means something a little bit stronger than that. It means a good person, or a person with a good heart. Certainly Mensch is a word that's been taken into American, New York, Yiddish English to mean a good-hearted person. He's a Mensch, she's a Mensch. He's someone you can really rely on, somebody who will always act in the best interests of everybody, not just themselves. And there's that in the title, and there isn't an English word that exactly conveys it. The first translations of the play call it The Good Woman of Szechuan, which is just wrong. That's not what it says in the German. Then for a long time it was called The Good Person of Szechuan, which is close, but person is a very neutral word, and the German has a little bit more colour in it. So for this production we're trying the good soul, she's got a good soul, he's got a good soul, to try and get a little bit more of the resonance of the original title. In 5 years' time somebody will have to have another idea, but that will have to do for us for the moment. I often think of translations of plays as being like fakes. It's like somebody trying to create an impression of an original work. But the thing about fakes is that they date very, very quickly, and the same is true of translations. You get those copies of Van Gogh's or Vermeer or whoever that people did in the 1930s, and at the time people completely believed them, and you look at them now and you think, well, that's obviously not a real Vermeer or Van Gogh. And I think it's a bit like that with translations, because theatre has to work now, it has to work in the moment. Every time you do a play that was written some years ago, a large part of the work is to producing the play is to find a way of making the play feel as immediate as it was when it was first written. And translations done 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, when you look at them now, they are not an original piece of work, and I've done a number of translations myself, and I know how painful it is looking back at what you did, when it felt like you were writing something absolutely immediate, and the slang has changed, the way of using words has changed, our English is a little bit more American now than it used to be. And you want a translation to kind of disappear. You don't want to attract an audience's attention to the fact that it's a translation. So every few years, every 5 years, every 10 years, you have to find a new form of expression of a really, really good, powerful play to make it feel like you're watching something which is entirely authentic and original. I've had some of my best, most enjoyable experiences in the theatre at plays by Brecht. If you get it right, if you really allow the play to speak, I mean, Brecht deliberately drew on all sorts of popular theatrical traditions. They really are plays for anybody. They deal with issues that everybody has to deal with. Compromise, hypocrisy, authenticity, being yourself, despite the pressures that people have on trying to just make a living and hold their families together and hold their livelihoods together. And how do you deal with these terribly difficult problems, especially in hard times? Potentially they speak to anybody. They're written with great sensuality, poetic, lyrical plays, songs in them. They're very enjoyable, and if you can get the production right, there's certainly nothing to be frightened of at all.